Hi, my name is Kent Swiatek, and I would like to introduce you to the 2009 Progressive Social Security Modernization Plan. This plan compares favorably with other recently proposed Social Security modernization plans, such as the potentially disastrous privatization plans, or even those plans which are listed on Social Security's own website. The goals of the modernization plan are twofold. One is to improve Social Security solvency by increasing program participation, and two is to institute a three-tier system of Social Security taxation, which will provide much-needed tax relief for minimum wage workers and many older workers. Increasing program participation will be accomplished by adding three areas of income to the definition of covered earnings subject to Social Security taxation. The first is by including all net income derived from rentals from real estate. Currently, some rental income, but not all rental income, is subject to Social Security taxation. Owner-occupied duplexes could be excluded when the owner reaches full Social Security retirement age. The second is short-term capital gains from investment sources such as the stock market. The third is requiring newly hired state and local employees whose employment is not currently subject to Social Security taxation to be covered for the new employee's first 5 years of employment. The first two provide coverage for areas where investors are, in fact, working at earning money. Today's covered Social Security workers and the self-employed are required to pay both Social Security payroll or self-employment taxes and federal income tax. These two groups of investors who are working at making income should be treated the same way and be required to pay both Social Security and federal income taxes. The third group, newly covered state and local employees, is currently paying only the 1.45% Medicare payroll tax. Requiring them to pay Social Security payroll taxes for their first 5 years of employment will enable them to earn and maintain Social Security disability insurance coverage during the transitional period from working in covered employment and entering the world of non-covered employment. Under the present circumstances, these employees may lack any disability insurance coverage during their non-vested first 5 to 10 years of non-covered state and local employment. Should they become disabled during this time, these workers may be left without any health insurance and income, and they and their families may be forced to rely on public assistance for survival. The three-tier system of Social Security taxation. Instituting a three-tier system of Social Security taxation is preferable to merely lifting or significantly raising the cap for which earnings are subject to Social Security payroll or self-employment taxes. Raising or eliminating the cap would have the undesirable effect of significantly increasing monthly benefits for high wage earners. The three-tier system is a more progressive concept in terms of differentially taxing those with the best ability to pay these taxes. Here are the three tiers. Tier 1 is minimum wage or self-employed earners. Tier 2 is all earnings for those whose earnings exceed minimum wage levels but fall below the present taxable wage base. And Tier 3 is the portion of earnings which exceed the current 2008 covered wage cap level. Here is how each tier will work. The minimum wage Tier 1 workers whose combined wages for all employment sources are equal to or less than the annual minimum wage level, which would be paid to a 52-week, full-time, 40-hours-a-week worker, will be taxed at a combined 4.65% tax rate, rather than the current combined worker rate, which includes a 1.45% Medicare tax, of 7.65%. Right now, this level is based on a minimum wage amount of $6.55 an hour, or annual earnings of $13,624. The 3% difference of up to $408.72 for the year would be refunded upon the filing of a federal tax return. This tax break could benefit minimum wage workers, part-time workers, students, working minimum wage couples, as well as older workers who collect Social Security benefits but remain in the workforce, working part-time or for low wages. The self-employed will be treated similarly, but a little differently. Workers currently pay a 7.65% payroll tax, and their employer pays a matching 7.65% employer tax. But the self-employed pay the equivalent of both parts of the tax, or 15.3%. Under the Modernization Plan, the self-employed, whose annual net earnings from self-employment are at or below the going minimum wage level, currently $13,624, will pay a self-employment tax of 9.3% rather than 15.3%. Those who are both employees and self-employed would only be eligible for the lower Tier 1 rates if their combined incomes do not exceed the minimum wage level. The lower tax rate for these self-employed individuals may serve as an incentive to new startup businesses, as well as providing some tax relief. These tax breaks to low-wage or earnings workers and the self-employed may also encourage program participation and inspire program confidence. Tier 2 would continue to tax all wages at the current 7.65%, 15.3% level for all earnings up to the 2000 wage base of $102,000, as long as the combined total wages and self-employment earnings exceeded the minimum wage level. So all the earnings for someone who earns over the minimum wage level would be taxed at 7.65%. Tier 3 would tax that portion of wages or self-employment earnings which exceed the 2008 wage base cap of $102,000. The enhanced rate is 9.65%, and it only applies to the employee. The employer will continue to pay the 7.65% rate on all employee wages. For example, if the wage cap were increased to $106,000 in 2009, then the worker would pay 9.65% tax on the additional $4,000 and 7.65% on the first $102,000. Comparably, the self-employed who are earning over $102,000 would pay an increase of 2% or 17.3%, not 19.3% on the portion of those earnings which exceed the 2008 wage base of $102,000. Tier 3 would be inflation indexed so that no more than 10 years of wage-based cap increases would ever be taxed at the higher rate. Thus, in the 11th year of implementation, the range of the first year of the tax rate increase would be rolled back to the 7.65%, 15.3% rate.